So this video is all about data types. Now you can see at the top here I've declared the data types. We've got integer, float, strings and booleans. Okay, so this is a simple exercise just to show you what happens when we enter these values. So you can see here I've got some inputs. I haven't declared a data type and we're going to multiply them. So if I run that now, whatever I put in here, what I'm expecting is a type error. Okay, because we can't multiply. By default when we use inputs they go in as strings. So we can't do anything with that. We can't multiply them. So we can't multiply text values. We just can't do it. It doesn't work. Okay, so let's wrap the first one in an integer and see what happens. So this time we're going to force the first value to be an integer and the second will be a string. I've not validated it, which means I can still put a string in there, but what I'm trying to do is just show you what happens. So let's run it again. So let's say 4 and then we're going to enter a string value. So let's say horse. So what will happen this time is we're going to actually say print A times B will print the string 4 times. And there we go. So what's happening here is we've got an integer value, a number value and a string, and it will actually print the string value 4 times. So let's just put both integers in. Okay, and let's just run that again. And this is a simple multiplication. 4 times 5 we should get 20. Okay, so let's try the next one. Let's put the next one in as a float. So if I run this one, okay, so let's see what happens if I put an integer in. So even the first value a, I'm going to put an integer in. I'm not going to add a fraction, and the second one is going to be an integer. What I'm expecting is a float output, because even though I've only put a whole number in, because we're multiplying 5.0 in reality by 4, we should expect 20.0 as the output, and it does, because it wants to keep that float, that real number, that decimal part, because we've already got it there. Okay, so let's have a look at a float times a float. So this should be straightforward. What we're expecting there is obviously a decimal output. So let's try 3 and 2.6, and you can see that gives us the float output. There we go. And then let's just do the last one. Let's do boolean, which is bool times float. Now this is interesting. So let's put in 3 in there, or a 4. Okay, and let's put in 2.2. Okay, so that's really, really interesting, because what it's doing, when we enter a value there, it's a boolean. Whatever I put in, if I put something in, it's true. So what it's saying is multiply a true value by 2.2. So what it's actually saying is 2.2 is true, so print it. And let's just show you what happens if I actually print the a value in this case. Let's run that again with 4, and then we'll do the 2.2 again. So you can see it's outputted that the multiplication is true times 2.2, which is saying 2.2 is true, so display it, and we've got the value true. So conversely, if I leave that first one empty, just press enter and do 2.2, but guess what my output? So it's false times 2.2. So I'm expecting it to output a blank and a false. There we go. Okay, because it's saying the value 2.2 is false, so therefore, in this case, the output will be 0, and obviously our boolean value is false. So let's try that again with no values at all. Okay, doesn't like that one at all, because it's looking for some values there and it's not going to get them. So let's just do the last one, which is boolean. Okay, so this is basically boolean logic. So if I put anything in here, so that's basically saying false times true, it's false, because it's false and true. So this is basically some boolean logic. So let's try that again with an R and a 7. So that's, the first one is true and the second one is true. So true and true should be true. So let's try another one with nothing. There we go, it's false. So that's just some simple boolean logic with the AND value. So if we multiply an empty boolean by an empty boolean, we're going to get a false output or 0. Or if we multiply one boolean and one with no value, we're going to get an empty output, because it's always looking for the AND. So the only true output will be 2 boolean values.